here in The Hague. And the Jews from the southern Netherlands fled to the northern because the northern Netherlands were free and the southern were still under the rule of Philips II. And we got all these brilliant people in our country, and it made the 17th century into a golden age. We were really blessed by having the Jews in our midst. And also that is, of course, completely biblical. Going to these days, first of all, I think Jack already told you that the Dutch National Railways have decided to pay damage compensation to Holocaust victims. He told you that? Yeah? Good. Well, he may not have told you that already 14 years ago, 2 times 7 years ago, the Dutch railways said sorry. But yesterday we heard Rabbi Katzman say, words are not enough. And of course in Hebrew you all know that davar is not only word, it's also promise, it is plan, it is deed. It's the same. For Jews there is no difference between a word and a deed. We have 2 words for that. And Rabbi Katzman yesterday told us, words are not enough, we need deeds, we need action. And the Dutch Railways today announced that they will pay tens of millions of euros, not only to the survivors, but also to the next of kin of those who have been killed. And also that is a very biblical principle because it goes through the generations. And the children are also victims. And the Dutch Railways have acknowledged that by putting aside tens of millions of euros to also pay damage compensation to the next of kin. Now, what you don't know is that the Dutch Railways is 100% state-owned. So this is an apology and a gesture, a moral gesture from the government of the Netherlands to the Jews in our country. This is not just a company paying damage compensation. That is a 100% state-controlled company. And I think that is very special when yesterday we had the state secretary saying, never again, we do not tolerate anti-Semitism in our country. And a day later, this 100% state-controlled railways company says, okay, we have to pay. I think this is the first step in much, much more to come. I want to end just with a thought to leave you with. Yesterday when I was in the Knights Hall, in the Ridderzaal, I looked up at the ceiling. And you might have noticed that it is a mighty ceiling. It's huge. It's completely made of wood. And the span is almost 20 meters. And this is 13th century, ladies and gentlemen, the oldest government building still existing in the world, existing and in use. And the span of control, the span, that's management speak, span of control. The span of the roof, of the arch, is so big that when in the 19th century they needed to renovate the roof, the architect said, this is such a miracle, such an 8th world wonder, this cannot be the original roof. So we will destroy it, we will remove it, and we make a new cast iron roof, and we make 3 arches because that must have been 3 arches. It was just not possible to make such a roof in the 13th century. So they destroyed the original and made something, they made imitation. And only 40 years later, they discovered that they had destroyed the original. So in 1904, in the beginning of the 20th century, they built again the original roof. And it was as you see it now. Original oak wood, large span. Well, when I read this story about the architect who ruined the original because he did not believe that it could be the original, I thought of the Jewish people. And I thought of the West, who has always denied that this miracle cannot be the original. The Jewish people, they've been scattered around the earth so long, they cannot be the original. We must be the original. And we replaced ourselves and put ourselves on the position of the Jewish people. But there is a new time in the West that we realize that we are witnessing the original. They try to destroy it, but it's being restored. It has been restored in the land of Israel, and we see it flourish and we see it grow, and we know it is the original, and it is because God is working in this world. The original cannot be destroyed because it's the apple of God's eye. Ladies and gentlemen, it was such an honor and a pleasure to have you here, to be your host during these days, to speak to you, to tell about the history of our country and the crucial role that the Jewish people have had in our country and for our country. Thank you for all you have given me. Thank you, and shalom.